Welcome to Tungal online classes. Today we are going to discuss the concept of refraction at spherical surfaces. Refraction at spherical surfaces. Up to now what we completed means, up to now we completed the refraction at a plane surfaces only. Refraction at plane surfaces only. To explain the refraction at a plane surfaces, we consider some of the laws and some of the assumptions. What are those laws we consider there? Whenever the light is traveling from one medium to the another medium, according to the phenomena of the refraction, the light will be deviates from its original path. This is the first point we discuss. And whenever the light is traveling from rarer medium to the denser medium, whenever the light is traveling from rarer medium to the denser medium, the refracted light ray in the denser medium will be bending towards the normal. The refracted light ray which was present within the denser medium will be bending towards the normal. And the third point is, whenever the light is traveling from denser medium to the rarer medium, the light will be bending away from the normal. And the fourth point we consider there, Snell's law of the refraction. What is the Snell's law? Mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. So these are four important points we consider to explain the phenomena of the refraction of the light in the case of the plane surfaces. So here also, even in the case of the refraction at spherical surfaces, even in the refraction at spherical cases also, so we consider the same rules what we applied in the case of the refraction at a plane surfaces. Once again, whatever the rules we applied in the case of the refraction at a plane surface, the same rules will be applicable for the refraction at a spherical surfaces also. Same rules we have to apply. Now, we are going to define some of the definitions in the case of the refraction at spherical surfaces. The first one is what? What is a spherical surface? What is the spherical surface? And how we get the spherical surface means, a spherical surface is the part of the sphere of refracting material. So what is the spherical surface will be defined as? It is the part of the sphere of the refracting material. So how can we define spherical surface means? It is the part of the sphere of, it is the part of the sphere of the refracting material. Such a type of a portion we are calling as a what? Spherical refracting surface. How can we define the spherical refracting surface? It is a small portion of the sphere of the refracting substance, refracting material. That is calling as a what? Spherical refracting surface. How can we get this type of a spherical refracting surfaces means? So here I am assuming that a glass sphere will be taken. Which type of sphere we taken here? A glass sphere. Why I consider only the glass sphere means, a glass sphere will be the transparent material. Glass sphere will be the transparent material. Whenever the light will be inciding on the glass sphere, it undergoes the refraction. Because of that, here I consider which type of surface? Glass spherical refracting surface. So whenever you consider the glass refracting surface, from this glass refracting surface, if you cut a small portion, this small portion only we are calling as a what? Spherical refracting surface. So how can we get the spherical refracting surface means? Spherical refracting surface is a small portion of the sphere of the refracting material. Such a type of a portion we are calling as a what? Spherical refracting surface. So in generally, the spherical refracting surface will be represented by like this. So I am assuming that let AB is the spherical refracting surface which is taken from the sphere of refracting material. So for understanding purpose, here I am assuming that the spherical surface is nothing but glass refracting surface. Next, once you take in the spherical refracting surface, and one more of the point we have to define, that is pole of the refracting surface. What is the second definition? pole of the spherical refracting surface. The pole of the spherical refracting surface will be represented by the point P. Will be represented by the point P. So, how can we define the pole of the spherical refracting surface? Means the pole is the geometrical center. The pole is the what? Geometrical center of the given spherical refracting surface. How can we define the pole? Pole is the geometrical center of the given spherical refracting surface. It is denoted with the symbol of capital P. So how can we define? It is the geometrical center of the given spherical refracting surface. Such a type of geometrical center will be calling as the what? Pole of the spherical refracting surface. What is the need of this pole? Means in the case of the refraction, all the distances must be measured from the pole of the spherical refracting surface. So what is the need of the pole? Means all the distances must be taken must be measured from the pole only. So while you are deriving any one of the equation, while you are solving any one of the numericals which are related to the spherical refracting surface, all the distances must be measured from the pole of the spherical surface only. Pole of the spherical refracting surface only. Next. The next definition is the what? Center of curvature. So what is the center of curvature and how can we define the center of the curvature? And the center of curvature is represented with the symbol of capital C. Whatever the spherical refracting surface we assumed AB, this spherical refracting surface will be taken from where? This spherical refracting surface will be taken from the sphere of refracting material. So whenever you consider any one of the sphere, for the sphere, its a geometrical center will be there. So we will be calling as center of the curvature. The center of the curvature will be represented with the symbol of capital C. Suppose only I have a part of the spherical refracting surface. For the given part of the spherical refracting surface, how can we find the location of the center of the curvature? Means for the spherical refracting surface, you have to imagine in the form of a spherical shape. When you imagine in the form of a spherical shape, its a geometrical center. Is nothing but center of the curvature. So that for a given spherical refracting surface, its center of curvature will be existing at the center of the given spherical surface. The next definition is a what? Radius of curvature. So the radius of curvature will be indicating with the symbol of capital R. Already we considered that what is the spherical refracting surface? The spherical refracting surface is a portion of the sphere of the refracting material. A portion of what? Sphere of refracting material. So the radius of curvature of the spherical refracting surface will be equal to radius of the given sphere. The radius of curvature of the given refracting surface, a given spherical refracting surface value will be equivalent to radius of the given sphere. That value we are calling as radius of curvature of the spherical refracting surface. And always the radius of curvature must be measured from the pole to the center of curvature, so that it is also defined as the distance of separation between a pole of a refracting surface, a pole of a spherical refracting surface to its center of curvature, will be calling as radius of curvature. So that is the definition of the radius of the curvature. What is the definition of the radius of curvature? The distance of separation between pole to the center of curvature of a spherical refracting surface is called as the radius of curvature. Is called as what? Radius of curvature. Next, principal axis. How can we define the principal axis? Suppose if you consider this is the spherical refracting surface, AB is indicating what? Spherical refracting surface. For the given spherical refracting surface, pole will be existing. So the principal axis will be defined as the imaginary line which is passing through the pole and center of curvature of a given spherical refracting surface is called as principal axis. Once again, how can we define the term principal axis? It is the imaginary line which is passing through the pole to the center of curvature of a spherical refracting surface is called as principal axis. In the case of the refraction at spherical surfaces, whatever the objects and images we consider, the object and image position will be taken along the principal axis only. The position of the object as well as position of the image will be considered over the principal axis only. Okay, so that is about the definition of the principal axis. Next definition is what? Aperture. Size of the aperture. So the diameter of spherical refracting surface, will be giving the size of the aperture of a given spherical refracting surface. So here in this diagram, the distance of separation between A to B, will be giving the aperture of a spherical refracting surface. The distance of separation between the points A and B will be giving the aperture size of a given spherical refracting surface. So these are the introduction part, basics about spherical refracting surfaces. Now we are going to derive the expression for the refraction at spherical surfaces. See here, now we are going to derive the important derivation for the refraction at spherical surfaces. What is that derivation means? Mu2 by V minus mu1 by U is equal to mu2 minus mu1 by R. So this is a required equation. Now we are going to derive. So in that equation, mu1 comma mu2 are indicating what? Mu1 comma mu2 are indicating the refractive indices of the two refracting medium. And capital R is indicating what? Radius of a curvature of the spherical refracting surface. So to derive this equation, we consider such a type of diagram here, So here in this given diagram, so AB is indicating what? This portion is indicating what? This portion will be indicating a part of the spherical refracting surface. So that AB will be indicating the spherical refracting surface. AB is indicating what? Spherical refracting surface. So such type of a spherical refracting surface will be considered. Whenever you consider a spherical refracting surface, for the given spherical refracting surface, some radius of a curvature will be existing, so that for the given spherical refracting surface, capital R is indicating what? Capital R is indicating what? Radius of curvature of the spherical refracting surface. Spherical refracting surface. Next, here mu1 comma mu2 are considered. What are the mu1 comma mu2 are considered? Mu1 comma mu2 are indicating the refractive indices of this is the medium 1 and this is the medium 2. So refractive indices of medium 1 comma 2 respectively. What are mu1 comma mu2 indicating? Refractive indices of the first medium as well as the second medium. Next, here in the given diagram we consider the point O. So that a point O will be indicating what? The point O will be indicating the point object. So O will be indicating what? Point object which is placed along the principal axis. Here I point will be considered here. So the point I is giving what? Image of the given point object. So I will be indicating what? Image of the point object, and O will be indicating what? Point object. Next, here C to N dotted line will be there. So what is the C to N dotted line? Suppose if you want to explain the refraction at a plane surface, whenever the light is incident on the plane refracting surface, you draw a normal to the refracting surface. With respect to that normal only, either angle of incidence values or angle of refraction values will be considered. So whenever the refraction will be takes place at the spherical surfaces, where we have to draw the normal, how can we indicate the normal? So that if you consider any one of the spherical surface, for that given spherical surface, if you draw a straight line from the center of curvature to any one of the point on the spherical surface, if you draw any one of the straight line from the center of curvature to any one of the point on the spherical surface, all these lines are indicating the normals only. All these lines are indicating what? Normal which are drawn to the spherical refracting surface. So that in the case of the spherical refracting surface, how the normal will be indicated means the dotted line which is indicated in the given diagram will be indicating the normal that is drawn onto the spherical refracting surface. From the given diagram, C to N will be indicating what? C to N will be indicating the normal. That dotted line will be indicating what? Normal. Next, see here. In the given diagram, the light rays are coming from the given point object. So here, to derive this equation, here I consider only two incident light rays. Generally, if you consider the point object, from the point object, infinite number of light rays are coming outwards. So among all the infinite number of incidental light rays, here I consider only two incidental light rays. See, what is the first incident light ray? The first incident light ray will be incidenting in this direction O2P. The first light ray will be incidenting on the spherical refracting surface at the point P. So that O2P will be indicating the first incident light ray. O2P will be indicating what? First incident light ray, and O2N it is also indicating the another incident light ray. So that here O2P comma O2N will be indicating what? Incidental light rays. O2P and O2N are indicating what? Incidental light rays. Next, whenever the light ray will be incidenting on the spherical refracting surface, that will be undergoing the refraction. So whenever the light will be undergoes the refraction, they will be traveling along the particular path. See, for the incidental light ray O2P, this light ray will be incidenting along the normal. So that whenever any one of the light ray will be incident along the normal, that a light ray should not be deviates. So that for the incidental light ray O2P, P2I will be indicating the refracted light ray. P2I will be indicating what? Refracted light ray. So this is the first refracted light ray. Next, for the incidental light ray O2N, N2I, it is indicating the second refracted light ray. So that in the given diagram, P2I comma P2i comma P2i comma N2i. These two light rays are indicating the refracted light rays. These two light rays are indicating what? Refracted light rays. Now, whenever you consider any one of the object, these spherical refracting surfaces will be forming its respective images. These spherical refracting surfaces are forming what? Its respective images. So that in the given diagram, if you observe, already we told P2i is the one of the refracted light ray. P2i is a what? One of the refracted light ray, and N2i is the another refracted light ray. P2i will be the first refracted light ray and N2i will be the second refracted light ray. These two refracted light rays are going to be converged at a particular point I, that a point of convergence of the refracted light rays will be giving the image. How can we define the image? The point of intersection or the point of convergence of the refracted light rays Pi comma Ni will be giving the image of the given object O. So that the point of intersection of Pi comma Ni refracted light rays will be giving the image. How can we define the image here? The point of intersection of the refracted light rays Pi comma Ni will be giving the image of the given respective object O. So this is the explanation part of refraction of the spherical surfaces. To derive that required equation, one small assumption we made. So in the entire ray optics, the aperture size of the refracting surfaces, either lenses or mirrors, the aperture size of the mirrors or lenses will be assumed as very small. So for that, if you draw a normal onto the principal axis, so this point M and this point P are very closer. When that consideration will be taken, whenever the size of the aperture will be very small, so the point P comma N are very closer, the distance of separation between P and M will be negligible. That is the assumptions we made to derive the required equation. Now, we will consider the triangle ONM. Which triangle we consider here? Triangle ONM. To derive this equation, I made some assumptions. What are they? The angle at the O will be taken as alpha. The angle at O is equal to what? Alpha. Angle at I is equal to beta and angle at C is equal to gamma. So I made some assumptions. What are that? The angle made by the incidental light ray of O to N with respect to principal axis is equal to alpha, and this angle is the gamma, this angle is the what? Beta. Already you know the angle made by the incident light ray with respect to the normal is equal to what? I, and the angle made by the refracted light ray with respect to the normal is equal to what? R. So these are 5 different angles are present within the given diagram. Now coming to the triangle ONM. From this triangle ONM, I am calculating the value of tan alpha. Tan theta is equal to what? Opposite side by adjacent side. Tan alpha is equal to Nm by OM. Just now only we told, whenever the size of the aperture will be very small, the distance of separation between P comma M will be negligible. And all the distances are measured from the pole only. So this is the actual distance we wrote, O to M. This O to M value is equal to what? P to O. Since the size of the aperture will be very small, so that O to M value I am taking as tan alpha is equal to Nm by P to O. P2O. Why we wrote P2O? The distance is measured from the pole of the spherical surfaces. P2O. Next. Again I consider one more triangle. What is the triangle? Triangle NMI. Triangle NMI. This is a right angle triangle I consider. Right angle triangle NMI. From this I will write tan beta value. Which value I am writing? Tan beta. Tan beta is equal to what? For this triangle, tan beta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. Tan beta is equal to, from that given triangle, NM by MI. NM by MI. Already we told. So this P comma M will be very closer, so that MI value is equal to PI. MI is equal to what? PI. So therefore tan beta is equal to NM by PI. NM by PI. Next. I consider one more triangle. That is NMC. Triangle NMC will be considered. From this triangle, I will take the value of tan gamma. Tan gamma is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. Tan gamma is equal to NM by, tan gamma is equal to what? NM by MC. Already we told the size of the aperture will be very small, so that MC will be written as PC. So that tan gamma is equal to NM by PC. So these are what? Equation number 1. Once again, what we made some assumptions. This angle is equal to alpha, beta, gamma. From this triangle of ONM, I calculate the value of tan alpha, tan beta, tan gamma. See here. Again I consider one more triangle. That triangle is nothing but triangle ONC. Which triangle I am considering here? Triangle ONC. According to the mathematics formulas, we know that sum of the interior angles is equal to exterior angle. Sum of the interior angles is equal to what? Exterior angle. So from the triangle ONC, alpha gamma will be indicating what? Interior angles. For this triangle, I will be indicating the exterior angle. So that from the triangle ONC, I will write exterior angle is equal to sum of the interior angles. Exterior angle is equal to what? Sum of the interior angles. So that I will get I is equal to alpha plus gamma. Next, I will consider one more triangle, that is triangle NCI. From this triangle of NCI, if you look at here, R comma beta, this is a what? Angle of refraction R, this is a what? A beta. Sum of these interior angles is equal to exterior angle. So that from this we will write R plus beta is equal to gamma. R plus beta is equal to what? Gamma. From this I will write angle of refraction R is equal to gamma minus beta. So this is the angles value I consider from the given diagram. Actually, the light rays are traveling from which medium to the which medium? The light rays are traveling from the first medium to the second medium. So here I will apply Snell's law of refraction. What is the Snell's law of the refraction? Mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. Mu1 sin is equal to what? Mu2 sin R. So here I am assuming that if all the angles are the smaller angles, at that time sin I value can be written as I, sin R value can be written as a what? R. So that if you assume the angles will become smaller, I will write a mu1 into sin I value is equal to what? Mu1 into I, and a mu2 into sin R becomes to what? Mu2 into R. Now Here, from the equation number 2, what is the I value? Alpha plus gamma. Alpha plus gamma. So, therefore, mu1 into alpha plus gamma is equal to mu1 into alpha plus gamma is equal to mu2 into what is the R value here? Gamma minus beta. Gamma minus beta. So, equation number 4. Equation number 4. Which law we consider here? Snell's law of refraction will be considered. According to the Snell's law of the refraction, mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. What we assumed here? If all the angles are the smaller angles, all the angles are smaller angles, sin I can be written as I, sin R can be written as R. So, already you know the I comma R values. We substituted those values are. So, mu1 into alpha plus gamma is equal to mu2 into gamma minus beta you got. Equation number here. What you got the equation? Mu1 into alpha plus gamma is equal to mu2 into gamma minus beta. Already we assumed that the angles will be the smaller angles. For the smaller angles, you wrote sin I is equal to I, sin R is equal to R. Already we know that for the smaller angles, sin theta is also can be written as tan theta. For the smaller angle, sin theta is equal to what? Tan theta. So that the equation 4 can be written as mu1 into, in the place of alpha, I will write tan alpha. Tan alpha. For the smaller angles, we will write alpha is equal to either sin alpha or tan alpha. And gamma is equal to, I will write tan gamma, that is equal to mu2 into gamma minus beta will be there. It can be written as tan gamma minus tan beta. Tan gamma minus tan beta. Now, mu1 into, already you know the values of tan alpha, tan beta, tan gamma values. What is the tan alpha value? Tan alpha value is equal to Nm by PO, and tan gamma value is equal to what? Nm by PC, So, what is the tan alpha? Nm by PO, and tan gamma is equal to what? Nm by PC. Next, mu2 into tan gamma means once again Nm by PC minus tan beta means Nm by P. So, just simply I substitute the values of tan alpha, tan beta, tan gamma values. All these numerator values becomes to be cancelled. You will get mu1 into 1 by PO plus 1 by PC, that is equal to mu2 into 1 by PC minus 1 by P. Equation number 5. Equation number 5. Now see here. What are PO, PC, PI values? Coming to the diagram once again. This is the P is indicating what? Pole, and the O is indicating what? Object. So, the distance of separation between the pole of a spherical refracting surface to the object will be calling as object distance. And the distance of separation between the pole to the image will be calling as a what? Image distance. And according to the sign conventions, what are the sign conventions? If all the distances are measured or taken in the direction of the incident light, those distances will be considered as positive, and whatever the distances you measured opposite to the direction of the incident light, those distances will be taken as negative. Now, coming to the PO. So, this distance value will be measured from P to O. The distance is measured from where to where? P to O. But incidental light rays are coming from where to where? O to P. Incident light rays are coming from where to where? O to P. Distance is measured opposite to the direction of the incident light, so that this PO value is equal to minus U. That PO value is equal to what? Minus U. Here we apply the sign conventions. If the distances are measured opposite to the incidental light ray, those distances are taken as a negative. Next, coming to the PC. What is the PC? Distance of separation from pole to the center of curvature. This distance is measured in the direction of the incident light rays, in the direction of the incident light rays. So that PC value equal to plus R. PC value is equal to what? Plus R. Next, PI will be there. What is the PI? P to I is a what? Distance of separation between pole to the image. That value is nothing but image distance. So that this P to I is also measured in the direction of the incident light. So that PI value becomes to what? Plus V. So it is a very important to taken the distances according to the sign conventions. According to the sign conventions. Now you substitute these values in the above equation. So mu1 into 1 by PO, that is minus 1 by U, plus again mu1 into 1 by PC, that value plus R. So that mu1 into minus 1 by U plus mu1 into 1 by R. Next, mu2 into 1 by PC means what? 1 by plus R, 1 by plus R minus mu2 into 1 by PI, that value is equal to 1 by B. 1 by B. Now, R terms will be written one side and this value will be bringing towards the left side. So, here minus mu1 by U, here a negative term will be there. If it is came to the left side, it becomes to what? Positive, plus mu2 by V is equal to, here already mu2 by R will be there. So whenever it is came to the left side, that right side, that value is equal to what? Mu1 by R. So that if you adjust according to the required form, so this value is equal to mu2 by V minus mu1 by U is equal to what? mu2 minus mu1 by R. So what is the required equation? Mu2 by V minus mu1 by U is equal to what? Mu2 minus mu1 by R. So this is the required equation for the refraction at a spherical surfaces. Next concept is magnification. So how can we define the magnification? So the magnification, it is defined as, it is simply the ratio of, height of the image or size of the image to the, either height or size of the image to the size of the object. So how can we define the magnification? Means magnification is defined as, it is the ratio of size of the image to the size of the object. It is denoted by the symbol of, it is denoted by small m. Therefore, the formula for the magnification will be given by, the formula for the magnification is equal to what? Magnification m is equal to height of the image by height of the object. Now, we are going to derive the formula for the lateral magnification for the spherical refracting surface. See here I consider one lateral object AB whose height will be given by h naught. H naught will be indicating what? Height of the object, and this object is placed at a distance of u from the pole. The object will be located where? It was located at a distance of u from the pole of the spherical refracting surface. Next, whenever the light rays are incident on the spherical refracting surfaces, these refracted light rays are going to intersected. These refracting light rays are what? Going to intersected. At the point of intersection, they will be forming one image. So that in the given diagram, A dash, B dash will be indicating what? Image, and the height of the image will be given by, HI. So what is the formula for the magnification? We know that magnifying power or magnification is equal to what? Height of the image by height of the object. Now, I consider the Snell's law of the refraction. What is the Snell's law of the refraction? Mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. Mu1 sin I is equal to what? Mu2 sin R. For the smaller angles, we will write sin theta is equal to tan theta. Sin theta is equal to what? Tan theta. So already we know that sin theta is equal to tan theta from this diagram, I will calculate the tan I value. Tan I. Tan theta is equal to what? Opposite side by adjacent side. Opposite side, this height of the object, that is represented by AB. Tan I value is equal to what? AB by and P to A. Always the distances are measured from where to where? Pole to the given location. Next. Similarly, tan R value is equal to what? Tan R value. From the triangle of A dash B dash P. From the triangle of A dash B dash P, tan R is equal to opposite side means what? A dash B dash by opposite side is equal to what? A dash B dash by P to A dash. P to A dash. So these are the tan I comma tan R values. Now we will substitute these values in the given equation so that value becomes to what? Mu1 into, in the place of sin I, we will write the tan I, so that the value is equal to what? AB by PA. AB by PA. Next. On the right side, refractive index mu2 into, in the place of sin R, I will write tan R. That value is equal to A dash B dash by A dash B dash by P A dash. P A dash. Again, we have to consider the sign conventions. What are the sign conventions? Whatever the distances, we are measured above the principal axis. Above the principal axis, they will be considered as a positive. The heights or distances you measured above the principal axis will be taken as a what? Positive. The heights or the distances what you measured below the principal axis will be taken as a what? Negative. So that in this equation, AB, A to B, principal axis to upwards, so that AB value becomes to be positive, so that mu1 into height of the object is equal to what? H naught by P to A. P to A is indicating what? Object distance, which is a measured opposite to the direction of the incidental light, so that object distance value is equal to what? Minus U. Object distance is equal to what? Minus U. Next. On the right side, mu2 into A dash B dash. A dash B dash is indicating what? Height of the image, which is measured below the principal axis, so that according to the sign convention, A dash B dash value is equal to minus HI. Minus HI. Next, P to A dash. P to A dash value is nothing but image distance, which is measured in the direction of the incidental light, so that the value becomes to be positive. So P to A dash value is equal to what? Plus V. So that here this minus will be getting cancelled. From this, we will write the value of HI by H naught. HI by H naught. HI by H naught is equal to mu1 by mu2 into V by U. So what you got? The HI by H naught, mu1 by mu2 into V by U. So what is the formula for the magnification? Formula for the magnification is equal to what? M is equal to height of the image by height of the object. Therefore, lateral magnification, M is equal to, you know the basic formula, height of the image by height of the object. Therefore, you got the value of this mu1 by mu2 into V by U. Mu1 by mu2 into V by U. So this is a required formula for the lateral magnification of the spherical refracting surface. So this is about refraction at spherical surfaces. In the next class, we are going to discuss about the lenses. Okay, thank you.